House of the Dragon versus Rings of Power, Round 2. The battle of the two heavyweights of the fantasy genre IPs. With House of the Dragon Season 2 airing on Sunday, June the 16th, and Rings of Power airing on Thursday night, August the 29th. This time around, both shows will have 8 episodes, whereas for Season 1, House of the Dragon had 10, Rings of Power had 8. This time, both the same. This time around, they are not going to be overlapping, because if you cast your mind back to 2022 when both these shows were airing for the first time, House of the Dragon was a few weeks earlier, but once Rings of Power caught up, once it started airing, they both were airing in the same week. House of the Dragon on Sunday nights, Monday morning for you guys over here, and then a few days later, Thursday night, Friday 5 o'clock in the morning for us, Rings of Power would air. And because I'm not doing this full time, I have my own full-time job, I've got my own personal life, there was no way I could keep that up. So I'm quite grateful they finally learned to keep these shows away from each other. But they did release 2 trailers within days. House of the Dragon, more of the same. More Targaryens, more dragons. Teasing of battles, politics and backstabbing. Throw in a few member berries and Easter eggs such as the Starks on the wall. Honestly, it's all good. What can go wrong? You don't have to show too much. We're just counting down the days now. Whereas Rings of Power. Guys, the trailer for me wasn't half bad, but it's definitely safe. And the major talking point is Sauron in his brand new wig, which is supposed to be Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, which is the form Sauron took to convince the elves of Eregion to make Rings of Power using his devices, his methods. And this was the story we were hoping to see way back in Season 1. But now we're going to see it after Celebrimbor has met Halbrand. It's the same actor as Halbrand, it's Charlie Vickers, just wearing a wig. And I'm not going to lie, he doesn't look half bad. But how can you convince us that Celebrimbor doesn't know who this guy is? If I remember correctly, I don't think Galadriel told anyone that Halbrand was Sauron. She kept that information to herself. So Celebrimbor doesn't know that this guy, who is clearly the same guy as he met in Season 1, isn't Sauron. He's just some random guy that knows his stuff about metals and alloys. Or perhaps, because Sauron is a master manipulator, he will make a fool out of Celebrimbor, and perhaps Amazon will do the story of Anatar in their own way. Maybe Halbrand Sauron comes back in this form and tells him, yes, I am an emissary of the Valar. This is me. This is my true form. Halbrand was just a disguise. For some reason, Galadriel doesn't trust me, but you should. Whatever. Sounds like a way they could make it work. But you guys know this trailer has been ratioed to hell and back. But at this stage, we should not expect anything else. You guys know me if you've been around for a while. You know that I was covering Rings of Power in 2017, way before it was Rings of Power. It was just this new Lord of the Rings show by Amazon. And I gave it a chance, even until the episodes aired. I stuck with it and didn't let the comments get me down, especially around the Super Bowl trailer. I was this close from cracking, but I kept on going. Fast forward to episode 1 and 2 airing. No real story, especially not from Tolkien's books. And I feel the rest of the season was more of the same. And honestly, I didn't hate everything in it. There were parts I liked, especially around the dwarves. But towards the end, that just became a member berry with the Balrog. And there's other parts as well. I'm not a hater for the show, but I wasn't a fan. And it's unlikely I will cover Season 2. Amazon might prove me wrong. It might be the best show of the year. They might right the wrongs from Season 1. They might tell the story of the Second Age straight from Tolkien, but I highly doubt it. So for me, the Rings of Power ship has sailed. I expect more of the same in Season 2. And unless it's a story that Tolkien wrote, I'm just not interested. Yes, you can argue that Peter Jackson made changes. Yeah, and most of them worked. Such as the elves at Helm's Deep. That's a major deviation, but apart from a select few Tolkien purists, not many people complain about it. But on the flip side, I hate Peter Jackson's version of Gandalf the White versus the Witch King of Angmar at Minas Tirith. Guys, if you love Rings of Power, more power to you. Go and watch it, talk about it, enjoy it. I'm not going to bring you down. But personally, I'm not going to hate watch it and make episode reviews just for clicks. That's not my style. Even though I do appreciate some of the comedy value from some videos I have seen. But that's not for me. I'm not going to do it. I don't enjoy it, and it just brings me down. I don't like being negative, and I don't like making fun of stuff. I just ignore it, put it to one side. And as for House of the Dragon, you guys know, Season 1 was mostly solid, with some issues revolving around the time skips and the pacing, and we could even argue that 10 episodes was not enough. They'd done, 5 episodes with the young Rhaenyra, and then 5 with the older actress. They could have totally done 10 episodes of Millie Alcock, and then started Season 2 with Emma Darcy. But they had to do what they had to do, and I think it worked, for the most part. But I also think a lot of the story was missing. I would have loved to have seen more about Daemon and Laena's episodes. I think we only got maybe 1.5 episode of their relationship. I would say the first 5 episodes are top tier, and then the second half has some of the best episodes, but also some of the worst. Episode 9 with the Green Council, wasn't a fan of that. So many issues. And the scene at the Dragon Pit with Meleys and Rhaenys, that was Season 7 of Game of Thrones level of thinking. Just throw in a big dumb action scene, doesn't matter. It's got dragons, it's got Targaryens, people will love it. But no, that's not us. Let's get back to the same thinking we had early on, when it felt more like the earlier episodes of Game of Thrones, even episodes in 5 and 6. But overall, I was very impressed with House of the Dragon, and I am looking forward to the second season and the rest of the spin-offs, as long as they are to the same quality. Dunkin' Egg should be a blast, but House of the Dragon is the top tier show, because no matter how many of us love the other houses and the other parts of Westeros, dragons are the main selling point for many on the casual side of the audience. I am a bit worried about the episode count being cut down to 8, so we're losing 2 episodes, and there's rumours of deviations from Fire and Blood, and also characters and storylines being cut, just like in Season 1, but supposedly there's some information revolving around the character of Nettles. I'm not worrying about that right now. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, see what happens. But you guys know, if I don't like it, I will call it out. Guys, it's been 5 years since the ending of Game of Thrones, which was the best show of its time, biggest show out there, then it just fell off a cliff. The cracks were there from pretty much Season 5 onwards. I think Season 1 to 4 are top tier. They have their issues, but that is peak Game of Thrones, peak fantasy television. And then 5 and 6 have some of the worst episodes, but also some of the best. 7, I think, has a couple good episodes, whereas that's when you start to get the jetpacking around Westeros and killing off characters just for the sake of reducing their screen time to save more for the main plot. A lot of plot holes and just convenience. And then Season 8, more of the same. Terrible ending for the White Walkers, and then, of course, Daenerys at the very end. Completely fell off a cliff, unforgivable ending. And when House of the Dragon was announced, I just wasn't into it. But then the episodes aired, and I was happily proven wrong. But guys, I want you to let me know your thoughts on House of the Dragon Season 2 and the Rings of Power. Will you be watching one? Maybe both. Or maybe neither. Like I say, expect videos on House of the Dragon. Maybe not every week, maybe only after the major events, but definitely after episode 1 and the finale. Maybe halfway through, maybe for all 8 episodes. We'll have to see. Because you guys noticed, the channel has fallen pretty far, but perhaps House of the Dragon is the boost I need. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.